Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a minute. Hey. Yeah,
Hi.
so our new fish tank is all cloudy and the filter isn't running, but Carol is gone. She's not floating, so I'm assuming she's in the filter.
You're probably right. I think your water right now
was missing for a couple days, but I didn't notice the filter wasn't running until the water started getting murky.
So, like, when you really think about it, like, your fish right now are swimming around in water that's just been constantly flowing over its friend's dead body.
I'll clean it tonight. That means like I have to go get a net and stuff to get all this. I didn't buy a net.
Yeah, net and they sell these little clear plastic cups. I mean, you can get whatever to put the fish in while you're cleaning it. Do you have the little suction hose to vacuum the bottom?
No.
Okay. They have cleaning kits at like the PetSmarts and stuff that are pretty inexpensive. Like I think like $20, $30 for a cleaning kit or something.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not that bad. So I mean, really what you're gonna do is you're gonna get that little tube, this little squeeze ball tube, and you're gonna suction the bottom up because you get all that fish poo that's in the rocks and get all that water out. And then you're gonna put new water in and your additives, and you're gonna let the temperature get to where it needs to be, and then you put the fish back in.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll be fun for Joey and Chris to do.
maybe take the filter out and change because if you have a big tank like that and smaller fish, I'm wondering if you just change the filter out and let that water run a cycle through, if you'll be able to clear that water up. Like it seems like
it's brand new.
Right. I think you have a fish in your filter because as small as your fish are and as big as your tank is, you should not be having to pull all that water out right now.
Okay, I didn't think so.
Yeah. So I have turtles. I've got 2 turtles in a tank, and I clean the water. I don't let them live in their own filth. You don't either. But like I don't clean the tank nearly as often as like you would have to now just getting your tank. I think that fish is messing you. I think Carol's getting what Carol deserves after lathering her first husband up in sardine oil and feeding him to tigers. And then Carol got the filter. Carol's swimming with the fishes, see?
Whatever. Yeah, so that's funny that you're calling it that, Carol. We call it Carol for Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel.
Okay. Wait, that's Black Widow, right?
No, Black Widow is Black Widow.
No, but what's her name? When she's not Black Widow? Like
Carol Danvers is Captain Marvel. Black Widow. What's Black Widow?
Scarlett Johansson, isn't that her name?
Yeah, it's Scarlett Johansson, but why can't I think of her actual name? Natasha.
Okay. Hey, unpopular opinion.
Mm-hmm.
The Marvel movies are fun, but I'm not that super into them.
Good morning, Alana. See, and then our family, we can explain everything through Marvel. Like yesterday, Layla was saying how if we build Joey wanted robots, and Layla was like, well, if we build robots, they can take over the world. And Joey's like, no, they can't. And I'm like, hey, we've seen Iron Man 3, right? He's like, you're right, Mom. It happened in Iron Man 3. He had to kill all his own machines. And I'm like, see?
Okay. Is Iron Man 3 where James Spader takes over? Is Iron Man 3 where James Spader's like pulling the strings and he has Mickey Rourke with the whip thing on the racetrack?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay, see, here's where
Joey can even tell you when it was released. It was like after the Avengers movie, like then the Iron Man 3 came out.
But see, the only reason that the robots were taking over the world is because he uploaded his consciousness to the robot. If he never uploaded his consciousness, it never would have happened. So you still need that human X factor because robots are predictable, right? Robots run on an algorithm, but humans are butterflies.
Sit down. Mm-hmm.
So the robot wouldn't have taken over the world if he didn't upload his humanness to it.
I remember one time I kept asking all these Marvel questions, and finally this guy who's super into it and was like telling Joey these things goes, at some point you just have to use your imagination.
Right.
And stop asking questions.
I did a podcast one time, a movie podcast with this guy on the East Coast. It was and we were breaking apart the movie V for Vendetta. Okay, I don't know if you've ever seen that movie or not, but it's got Natalie Portman and some other people. Anyway, I was like ripping the movie apart. I love the movie, but there were some parts where I was ripping it apart. I'm like, why wouldn't she do this instead? Why didn't this guy go over here? And the guy that I was doing the podcast with, he goes, yeah, but it's a movie. At some point, you have to suspend animation or imagination, and just go with it because it's a movie. It's not always going to make sense, because if it made sense, it wouldn't be a movie. And I'm like, yeah, but why didn't he do this?
Yes, I was the same way with Spider-Man Far From Home. Have you seen the Spider-Man Far From Home?
Yeah.
Zendaya and who was Jake Gyllenhaal?
Yes.
And you know how it's drones that make it look like the city is being torn apart, right?
Right.
And I'm asking, like, how come the next day Fox News and CNN and stuff are like, hey, that travesty that happened yesterday, that tragedy was fake, like the buildings are still intact, right? Like, how come nobody's noticing the next day that people thought a Ferris wheel was going to fall one day, and the next day the Ferris wheel is still there and the city isn't broken into pieces? And that's when he goes, you need to just use your imagination. I went, okay.
Kim Jong-un is in North Korea, and we only see the guy on video, and we could see a little Band-Aid on his hand and be like, it's a fake person. He's got a look-alike. This whole like he may have been assassinated. But then in Spider-Man Far From Home, there's drones all over the city, and then like Fox News is like, yeah, seems legit.
Yes,
MSNBC is like, wow, we really dodged a bullet there. But everybody can look at Kim Jong-un and be like, that's an imposter.
Yeah, one day the city, the ground is breaking apart and the pets' heads are falling off. And the next day nobody goes, oh, what happened yesterday was a fluke? Like, nobody?
Yeah. We all ran. I cashed in my life insurance same day because I thought it was all going to end, and now it's not. But
yeah. And this dude and Joey look at me and go, just use your imagination. And I go, all right.
Okay, here's another one. Have you seen the movie A Quiet Place with John Krasinski and Emily Blunt?
No.
Okay.
No.
The premise behind it is that you cannot make a sound, because if you do, monsters will kill you, right? So they all live in their houses. At night, John Krasinski goes on the roof of his house and lights a fire, and then they pan out so you can see the rest of the world, and everybody else is lighting fires to let each other know that they're still alive. But they can't talk to each other. All they can do is whisper. When they go into town to get supplies, they have to tiptoe. I almost used the F word there. Sorry. They have to tiptoe into town. But Emily Blunt is pregnant. She's going to have a baby. Is it going to be a Tom Cruise, Katie Holmes silent birth so that the monsters don't get them? When the baby is born, is the baby going to instinctively know at 2 days old not to cry in the middle of the night? Does nobody fart in their sleep? Because when they drop a fork, the monsters come in droves. But apparently everybody's learned to not pass gas while they're sleeping.
That sounds like a stupid movie.
When you break it down, it's a really dumb movie.
It's
Nobody
stupid.
Make a noise. Humanity.
Even if it wasn't scary, I wouldn't watch that crap.
And they're coming out with a part 2.
No.
A Quiet Place. Quieter. Right? Like you can't make a baby. They talk about we were taught in school that when the Native Americans
noise is what I want to know.
That's what I'm saying.
My DNA.
When we were in school, they told us that Native American mothers would take their babies when they were hiding from danger, and they would put their hands over their mouths and then squeeze their noses shut with their fingers so that the babies wouldn't make a noise, so that they would stay out of trouble. But now in A Quiet Place, a baby, what's that? It couldn't breathe. That was the risk you took as a Native American living out in the wild when you were trying to avoid being killed, was you could suffocate your baby and have it not make noises for a minute and hope it's okay, or you could let it cry, and then this guy with a gun's going to kill you. You know, like you roll the dice. But in A Quiet Place, that's not an issue. And there's monsters. There's monsters that have zero human compassion. Their sole goal, whether you make a noise or not, is to kill you. But this baby at 2 days old is going to like break all the rules.
So so she didn't have a baby in the movie. So maybe
that's just it. She's going to. She's going to.
So that's going to be where part 2 comes in.
But like you said, you have to use your imagination.
Nope, stupid. I'm not using my imagination. I'll use my imagination on Marvel and superheroes because we already know that's fake all day. You put the baby in a box with oxygen.
So they just do that until the baby's what? A toddler? And then like you're going to tell a toddler to be quiet? Do you put the toddler in the same box when the toddler's having a meltdown?
Why are they
because they can't have Snickers?
Can't they move, or is it the whole world?
I think it's like the whole world.
I wouldn't even bring a baby into that world.
I had the same. I didn't want to say that out loud because I was already going on a huge rant. But that was one of the other things I thought too. Was why use protection when they go to the stores to get supplies. They're looting because the stores are like you can take the condoms.
Yes. You know who we should also? Never mind. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to mom shame. Never mind. Did you see Kaylin Lowry from Teen Mom 2 was appalled that the last baby daddy wanted a paternity test? How many does she have? I'm not mad at you for having babies. Like, I'm not even kind of like, if you have multiple baby daddies, there's no judgment coming from me. But when the last one is like, I want to go ahead and test and see if that's mine, like, you're shocked? Like, this is shocking to you?
When you have teen moms and Kardashians and all the peoples that are keeping up with and all of that stuff, do you feel like, because you said you don't want to mom shame, but do you feel like the rules are different for them because they've chosen to make a living by living their life out loud for everybody to see how it is that they do all the intimate things that we don't want to be judged for?
Yeah, I can see that. I think because they put themselves on, like, you and I get judged for literally everything.
Right.
So I can only imagine that they get judged for that. But she put her life out there as a teen mom.
Right.
That's her claim to fame. And then had multiple babies, like, didn't change anything.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like,
so, and like, yeah. And I have, plenty of friends who are teen moms, and I have plenty of friends who have multiple couple baby daddies. But like, none of them be like, oh, he wants a paternity test. What a jerk.
Like that. Oh, so here's another question. At what point when is it appropriate for a man to say, I want a paternity test?
As soon as his.
Just the minute that he thinks it's not his. Okay.
Yes.
I don't know how that works. I've taken a paternity test before. It's a very scary thing.
I think, okay, so I met this dude. I've been having a good time, right? And if I got pregnant and went to some dude and he was like, I want a paternity test, I would have to go, okay.
Okay, fair.
Okay.
So it's fair for a guy, if guy is baby daddy number 3, it's fair for him to say, I think I would like a paternity test, right?
I think if you are not a couple, or if you thought she ventured out, I don't care if it's baby number 1. If you want to know if it's your kid, you should be allowed to know that. And I don't think men should hold that in to save feelings. Like, if you and I were married and you knew that I went and ventured out and came back pregnant, my husband can look at me and go, I want a paternity test. Is that going to be a fight? 100%. But if you know that they went, and they cheated on you, no, you're not allowed to go, oh, what? No, because when Joe had a baby, his first baby, everybody was like, get a paternity test, get a paternity test, get a paternity test, right? And that baby came out and he's like, no, that's mine. Look just like him. And there's an old folks tale that the baby usually comes out looking like a dad because of paternity tests, which I don't even know how that's a possibility, right? But there's like an old folklore tale about that. But he was like, I'm not doing that to her. This baby's clearly mine, right? But I wouldn't have been mad at him if he had. She was like, and as I'm getting the paternity test, the nurse is like, so you don't know who the dad is, huh? I'm like, that's appropriate. You are at a paternity test clinic. That is a normal question. She's one of my favorites, though, because she just keeps making poor decisions.
She is something else.
At least Bab's daughter, what was her name? Janelle.
Janelle
knows that she's not awesome.
You're with that Kifa again.
Who she is as a person.
I had to take a paternity test when I was 22, and I had to do it at the hospital. It was for twins. Huh? Twins.
Dude, what kind of sweat stains you get from that?
Man, there was a social worker in the room who was like grilling me, right? Mm-hmm. And what are you gonna do if these are yours? What are you gonna do? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. But it was like a very official, like there was the social worker and the nurse pulled me aside and was like, hey, you need to get an attorney because like I'm not supposed to tell you any of this stuff, but I've been here for the whole conversation before you showed up, so get an attorney. And it was like a whole thing. And they officially swabbed and they put everything with gloves into this thing and sent it off. And when I got the letter 2 weeks later, the whole Maury Povich letter, when it comes to Kevin, last name here, Ian Riley is 99.9% not the father. When it comes to Kyle, last name here, Ian Riley is 99.9% not the father. And so granted, I'm 22, I'm making poor decisions. I'm shaking, I'm trembling because I know what this letter is before I even read it. I'm in a studio and the guy that's doing nights is like on the radio as I'm reading this letter. And as soon as he turns the microphone off, I just let out this big blink, yeah. And he looks over and I show him the letter and he goes, well, this explains why you've been such a jerk these last few months. I'm like, I know.
Friends too. Who's more relieved, you or her though, that you weren't the dad?
Honestly, I think me because at the time she just got back together with her ex. They just moved to like Missouri. And I think they just opened up a bed and breakfast. And I was in such a bad state in my life to begin with that he saw that and he was like, whatever it is, if he doesn't want to, I've got you. Don't worry about it. like they were set up before we even took the test. They knew what they were going to do. Right. Yeah. This was really just like, let's confirm that this POS is not the dad is really what it was.
Oh my goodness. Have you ever watched Californication?
I've heard about it. I've never watched it.
David Duchovny's character is a total pig. Like he's total womanizer, sleeps with all these women, and one comes at him that she's pregnant, right? And he's back with his ex-wife trying to work things out, and she's got a man who knows it's David Duchovny's baby, and he's fine with it. And they're all like trying to be all zen and family, right? And then she goes into the hospital and has the baby, and the baby comes out black, right? And David Duchovny is like cheering up and down the hall. You can just see him running down the hall. It's not mine. It's so funny.
David Duchovny is like low key funny.
That's a good show. Super uncomfortable to where like Joe and I would be watching it and he's like, even I am uncomfortable right now. Like there was one episode that 3 women showed up at the same time and he's trying to keep them in different rooms. And I'm like, oh my, just run. Just pretend you're not.
Michelle and I were talking about this the other night. You know what makes us really uncomfortable on TV? We can handle sex scenes and we can handle dirty sex scenes. But when they're like making love and it's slow, we get really uncomfortable. We're like,
you're not into it.
What are they doing?
Why? Rejection. And Layla has gotten that from me. So like when we're watching Cobra Kai and like the teenagers like start flirting with each other, she can't watch. And I'm the same way. Like if they're about to get rejected or something, like I caught myself fast forwarding through that show, The Unicorn, the other day, and that's like a wholesome show. There's nothing uncomfortable about with that show at all, right? And
right.
I'm like, he's rejecting her. Oh my god, I can't watch.
We were watching, was it Top Gun or something else? Anyway, they spent a really long time on the slow love scene, and it was just one of those like at this point, this is just the cinematographer like getting to watch a hot actress in bed for a couple extra minutes because we don't need to see all of this. This is just too much, right?
Right.
It was just too uncomfortable for us. That's not like a window into like our lives or anything. Just like on TV, it was too slow and too long. It was just like, can we move to the sandwich making phase now?
That's her job, right?
Whoever's just
that's what my new boyfriend has learned annoys me. Remember a couple weeks ago, we're like, what do you do to annoy your significant other?
Yeah.
So like when he's doing my dishes, he was like, "Oh, good. Now I know what it's like to be a wife." Right? And then anytime like he's like, "Oh, that's woman's work or that's men's work." And I look at it and he's doing it just to annoy me. I go, this isn't going to go over well for you. So now he knows it irritates me and he does it every time. I make such a good wife after he did my dishes. I'm like, "You better get out of here, but keep doing those dishes."
It's gonna be fun.
I like him a lot. He's pretty cool.
Good.
It's Women's Business Week. If you are a female and you own a business, that includes network marketing. Ian and I are huge supporters of network marketing. You get to stay home with your family and make money. Do it. Please put it in the comments if you are a female business owner. Yeah, I know, Cindy. It's going to get old super fast. If you are a female business owner, I saw my friend Lana was on here. She owns Farmers Insurance in Riverbank. Put it in the comments, your business, a link to your business, your product. Oh, school started today. Are you excited your kids are back in school? I wish mine were still home, to be honest. But school started today for you. Congratulations. We're going to have Elena Scott on tomorrow talking about it. What time is she on with us? 7 or 8?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. Yeah,
8 o'clock.
Elena's not getting up at 7.
I assume that Elena gets up at 3 and starts and sells 3 new businesses before 7. And then at 7 is like, okay, now I can be Elena.
She's such a good woman. Elena is such a good woman. And we're going to have her on with us tomorrow. And that's exciting. And then we have Series Cruisin' tickets all this week. So listen to our show to win that. Except for Hocus Pocus, it's sold out, which I'm so jealous of. I didn't get in there fast enough. So that'll be fun. And then what else we got?
We'll have, so on the Series Cruisin', Carrie will be Thursday, Hocus Pocus Friday, Empire on Saturday, and then the Rocky Horror Picture Show on Sunday.
Perfect. All right. We'll be giving those away during the week, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.
Bye, guys.